Welcome to the Hunt360 podcast. We're here live in Salt Lake City at the Western Hunting Expo. I'm E3 King. I'm here with Luke Haney and our special guest, Danny Ferris of Ultimate Predator. It's great to have you, Danny. How you doing today?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You must be hard up for material.
Oh, far from that with this product, man.
Well, it's a fun product. It's a fun product. But I appreciate you guys inviting me for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Glad
it's
you
been
can
a fun-
come, man. Happy for it.
Thanks.
Been a fun show, kind of winding down here on the last day. But
Yeah. Have you guys been to this show before?
I was here last year.
Yeah.
This
That
is
was
my first.
This is your first.
Yeah.
It's an eye-opener, isn't it?
Oh, big
like
time.
I've been to a lot of shows for a long time.
Right.
You know, and this is a really cool show.
I mean,
This is, I've been to enough shows to where I wouldn't give a thought to traveling to go to some other show,
Right.
This is one I'd drive a ways to
I've
go
enjoyed
to.
every second I've been here,
Yeah.
man. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, just the taxidermy alone.
Oh, yes.
You go down to that elk exhibit or the Eastman's mule deer exhibit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing.
Almost makes you a little bit jealous, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Just a little bit.
It's funny. This year, me and my son both killed really nice mule deer.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I killed mine December 1st. My son took his about a week earlier than that. And we
Sweet.
took him with our decoys, and there's
Awesome.
cool stories, and they're nice bucks. My son's gross is mid 190s, and mine gross is right at 205/8.
Wow.
And I mean, they're
That's
they're
big
nice
muleys,
bucks,
man.
That's
When we went to Portland, we had those racks displayed in the booth,
Right.
and it was like 2019 stalker decoy kills, and we had a lot of guys asking about them.
That's
Whoa, these
cool.
are awesome. Well, when we got to this show, our booth here is half the size of that booth in Portland, and it's just the one that we're stuck with. We've got a good spot over there, and unless we can find another real good spot, we don't want to give that spot up, and we just deal with a small booth.
Absolutely.
But anyhow, we didn't have enough room to put those racks up in the booth.
Right.
And, my buddy was kind of like, oh, man, I can't believe we're not going to have enough room to put those racks up. And I said, dude, there aren't going to be near as many people impressed with these racks at
Oh,
this
man.
show as there were in Portland. This show has some behemoths
No
around.
doubt on that
It
one.
takes a lot to get somebody's attention at this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does. It blends in pretty well.
Oh man, it's something else. So, anyway, have you just came by and you picked up an Eastern turkey
I did,
from
man.
us the
I
other
did.
day?
I've been looking at y'all's product for a while now. And
Yeah.
as soon as I saw y'all were on the docket for the show, I knew I was stopping by.
Well, we appreciate the business for sure. Do you see us on Instagram or
Yeah,
YouTube
Instagram,
or-
Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe I want to say I've seen it on some hunting channels, obviously, for sure. And
Sure.
man, it's just inspiring.
Well, it's I don't know if you guys know my background at all.
I'd
but,
love to hear it, man.
I have been a publisher over at Bowhunter magazine. I started out in the industry back in 2002 with a small publishing company that produced a trade magazine called Inside Archery. And then a few years later, I went to work for Intermedia Outdoors, who has since become Outdoor Sportsman Group. And they own the Sportsman's Channel and the Outdoor
wow.
Channel and a bunch of your biggest hunting titles, hunt and fish shoot titles around. And I've worked for them since 2006, I believe, and was basically worked on their bow hunting side. That was kind of my area of expertise.
Right.
And I've helped publish one of the publishers at Peterson's Bow Hunting and
Oh,
Bow
wow.
Hunter magazines, and produced their TV show Bowhunter Bowhunter TV on the Sportsman's Channel and the Outdoor Channel for the last 15 years or so.
Wow.
And I love bow hunting. It's
It's my passion, man.
Yeah, it's my
I
passion.
can't go a day without thinking about it.
Yeah, it has been my passion for a very long time. I've raised 4 little bow hunters of my own.
Man. I bet that's just a reward in itself.
Oh, yeah, that we don't want to get into that because I'll fill up the whole hour,
That's awesome.
But anyhow, I've also always been a decoy junkie. And when I say a decoy junkie, like, man, I had the scissors and duct tape out and sewing kit and all kinds of things. And I was cutting holes in decoys and doing all kinds of crazy things with them a long time back. Going back, I don't know what year it was the first time I built this great big cardboard cow, before there was really like a Montana moo cow out,
Okay.
Now you got this nice fold out Montana moo cow, and I've actually taken antelope behind that thing. But for a long time, I saw what some of the issues were with any decoy out there on the market for a bow hunter is you got to do something with it when it comes time to shoot, you know?
Right.
When I saw these things come out, and this is 4 years ago, this year was the company's fourth hunting season, basically. And I saw those come out, and I was like, oh man, I've got to have one of those. And I went and made friends with the former owners, and we started using them a bit on Bowhunter TV, and I started using them for my personal hunts. And I was just mind blown by what I was getting away with on animals.
Really?
I mean, just mind blown. And it was one of those things where you kind of, you look at the elk for 2 seconds and you understand what that thing will do for you. I mean, just like you asked me to bring some products over here.
Right.
You asked me to bring an elk. I couldn't bring an elk because we sold out elk at this show, and I thought I brought enough for 4 shows.
That's a good problem to have.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is a good problem to have. Boy, the hunters come up, they take one look at that, and they're like, oh, every single time they come up and they look at it, I think I could have used that this year. It would have helped me a bunch. And you get to talking, and it's a no-brainer, really. Started using the elk, shot a bullet like 11 yards.
Oh, man.
Started using the turkey. There's been a couple turkeys that I've shot in self-defense. I mean,
oh my God,
it's so awesome. I mean, I've got this goal where I want to shoot a turkey where the broadhead goes into the bird before the knot comes off the string.
Oh my gosh.
And I haven't pulled it off yet. I think I told you earlier when you were buying your turkey. I thought it was going to happen this year, but he just right at the last second he flared and he kind of went back out there about 4 yards, and I hammered him. But
to think that's even a goal nowadays, man. You know,
It's pretty cool, man. It's so exciting. It takes something that's already real exciting and just amplifies the heck out of it. But when I started, I've hunted whitetails in eastern Colorado a lot, over my career because I'm right there. And that's real. It's totally different than what you boys down in Georgia are used to.
Could imagine.
You know what I mean? It's wide open country. A lot of times you're hunting ground that looks more like, pheasant ground or upland bird ground, goose hunting ground. And you take some big whitetails out of that country. But between that and western Kansas, I was doing a lot of spotting and stalking on the whitetails. And I had some spectacular spot and stalk whitetail hunts. Really cool ones on video, shooting a whitetail sitting there 10 yards from one with a cameraman right behind you, waiting for him to stand up out of some deep cover, and being there for an hour, and he finally stands up and shooting point blank. Really cool stuff, that's happened for me before. But in 2015, I had a spot and stalk whitetail. It was a huge buck. And I got within range of him, and I'm talking like, 35, 40 yard shot. And I drew on him 3 times. And every time that I would draw, the wind would be whipping me around hard enough to where I just couldn't get my pen comfortable. And on the 3rd time that I drew on him, he just got that 6th sense that they have sometimes. And all of a sudden, bam, for no apparent reason, he just has me marked. And when that happened, you have this millisecond of a time to make the decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I made the wrong one. Because he, when he turned and looked, he's on red alert at that point, and you should know, 35 yard shot at a red alert whitetail that's looking at you is not a smart shot. But you have to make it in an instant.
Absolutely.
I hit him high, he ducked it bad, hit him high, and I lost that deer.
Oh,
and
man.
It broke my heart so bad. This was a big deer, boys. Like, we went and found a plane and flew that area looking for that deer.
Oh, wow.
We did everything we possibly could.
Big boy.
I blew the rest of my hunt looking for that deer.
Wow.
But after that, I kind of swore to myself, I've got to find a way to hunt whitetails, in this open terrain better than just spotting and stalking them. I need something to take the focus off of me, or to bring them to me, or something. And I stewed over it for 2 years. And I started using this with a 3D buck decoy out there in that open country. And just some crazy stuff started happening. I mean, the first time that I went out and did it, I basically set up over a weedy bottom that I knew that there was going to be bucks cruising that looking for does, and you can't hardly even see it. It's down in a dip, and we just set up off the side of it, put our 3D buck decoy out in front of us about 15 yards, and then me and the cameraman sat in turkey chairs and just backed up to a cedar tree. And man, the first big buck that came in there, he was a 160, low 160s.
It's a big whitetail.
Mature whitetail. He comes in and just stomps right out of them weeds, sees me over behind this. I've got this up in front of me, but I have the antlers off of it. It's just, I've got the doe. And he thinks that this buck has a doe pinned down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he sees me because I have to move my bow over in front of me, you know, in the turkey chair. And he marches. As soon as he writes me off as a hot doe that buck's got bedded down, he goes straight to the buck. And just, it's like a boxer in a ring. They're locked on that buck, and they don't care what that doe does over there. So when I draw on him I didn't have much time to do it. I draw on him at 15 yards with no cover in between us whatsoever, and he doesn't even look at me.
Man.
And the cameraman that's sitting right next to me as well. And I drill him, and he runs off, and I'm, oh my God, you know, just freaking out, making an idiot of myself like I was doing. And the cameraman, I get up, and I go down, and I recover that arrow, and I come back, and I'm kneeling down in front of the cameraman, and I'm talking about this arrow, and he says, "There's another big buck behind you." And I look over my shoulder, 75 yards away, there's another, you know, mature, he was like a 145, high 140s buck.
Poper.
He's staring right at us, you know? And so I have to get up, I have to stand up, kind of jump over this little pile of stuff that we had just this high enough to hide our turkey chairs, step over it, get back in my turkey chair, raise the decoy back up in front of me. He saw all of this. He watched it all, okay? And like I said, these antlers are removable. It was a doe, and he's standing there just staring at us like, you know, he sees a buck that's watching whatever he just saw, and he's just confused. Well, I reach up and start flicking the ear at him and just giving him a couple of movements out of the decoy ad, and he maybe stood there for 2 or 3 minutes, and then he starts pinning his ears back, and that buck ends up at 4 yards in front of us on camera.
No kidding.
And because I've already shot my buck, I'm not, you know, if he'd have come in first, I'd have shot him. We wouldn't have seen all this cool stuff, okay? He comes into 4 yards in front of me and this cameraman.
Oh, my goodness.
With nothing in between us. That's it, you know? And he finally gets to where he's directly downwind of our 3D buck. And you can tell that he's like, I don't think he smelled anything that spooked him. I think he just didn't smell what he was expecting to smell.
Right.
And he kind of nerves up, and he looks at us, he looks at the buck, looks at us. He runs off 15 yards, so he's standing there about 18 yards from us.
Okay.
And he's there for 15 minutes trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Wow.
And he's doing circles, and he'd turn his shoulder wide open to us, and he'd look out over the plains, and he'd look back at us, and I'd just flick the ear at him a little bit, and finally, he just wanders off like he's confused as all get out. And I mean, the light bulb went off, son. Like,
oh my goodness.
These things work. If I am doing this with mature whitetail bucks, there ain't anything I can't do this on, because they're a different animal. You know, we took it to Illinois this year, and those boys in Central Illinois, you know, some of my friends, I like to razz them a little bit, but they're like, these are the smartest deer on the continent. They speak Latin, college educated, Ivy League.
That's it.
And that silly little thing will not work on these deer, you know? Well, we went out there, and it wasn't like we had a decent percentage that came in. Every single buck. And what we did was there was just a long lane coming around a lake, kind of a lake shaped like this. And we knew that any buck trying to get to the other side of this lake to go, you know, during the rut. And if you're set up somewhere toward the end of that lake, it's a pinch point, but there's a long lane that went right off the end of one of them. So right at the end of that lane, any buck that's going around that lake, he's going to come down and he's going to cross that lane at some point. So we just set up kind of tight against the lake to where he'd be able to see that 3D buck, and me and my cameraman are sitting right behind it in turkey chairs with our does on. Cameraman's camera is set up right here, just shooting right through the decoy. And like I said, we don't have these antlers on. We stopped doing the 3D buck so far away from us. He's 6 yards in front of us. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Every single buck, every single one, whether it was a 1.5 year old spike or a 4-year-old, we didn't see any 5 or 6 year olds.
Right.
All of them came. All of them came in and offered a shot. To the point where the first day we had a 3 or 4 year old deer come in, and I had put my cameraman up in a tree stand, and I wanted him to be able to see the whole scene.
Oh, heck yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had like GoPros and stuff on me, but I wanted him to be able to see the whole scene. This buck comes across that lane down there. He looks down, sees the setup. Here he comes to 20 yards, and literally, I'm not going to shoot this deer. I draw, I let down, I draw, I let down. I stick my head out and range this way, stick my head out and range this way. I draw, I let down, and this buck doesn't even look at me. Doesn't even look at me.
Oh, my goodness.
He's on that, he'd already written me off. It's like, I'll deal with her after I get done dealing with this buck. And
wow.
The next day, we brought the cameraman down, put him right behind me. And when there's no cover, there's nothing in between us other than, like, I'm talking from the tabletop, maybe that deep, a couple limbs stacked up, enough to hide your turkey chair. If you're sitting in a turkey chair, hide you from the belly button down. And the same thing, we had another buck, and it was actually a buck I ended up shooting later on when he came in the second time, okay? The first day, I passed him. He came in, and same thing. I was just like, hey, Bill, get all this. Wham, draw back, range him, glass him, flick the ears, grunt. My buddy, the cameraman, he's a serious hardcore Iowa bow hunter. And he is just freaking out. Bill Jackson's like, I could not believe what you were doing. I could not believe what you were doing on that buck. And I was like, I know, man. I know.
Oh, my gosh.
So, long story short.
Dude, I got goosebumps.
When this company came for sale, I was like, I got to do that. I've got to do that.
Absolutely.
And we've had a really good time with it.
And it looks like you're as passionate as could be about it too.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I mean, it's great.
We definitely are. Like I said, we're fourth hunting season was this year for these products. It's the first year that I've owned it. We're sitting at right about 2,000 success photos from clients.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you wrap your head around that for a minute, because the first 2 years that company's in existence, there's not very many products out in the field. Okay. Third year, there's quite a few out in the field, and fourth year, we had quite a few out in the field this year. But out of how many guys that kill something are actually going to send you a kill photo? Success photo.
Yeah, I mean, not a high percentage.
Let's say half of them.
Yeah, 40, 50%. Yeah,
dude, that's a lot of success.
Dude, right?
That's a lot of success.
The proof is in the pudding. It looks like, man.
Oh, and it's just such a fun way to do it.
I can't wait to do it myself, man.
It's a fun way to do it. They're effective and they're fun. It's different than anything you ever done before. Like the whitetail guys, a lot of them I talk to are like, yeah, but that's Kansas. And I said, well, no, we did it in Illinois this year, and we're going to Iowa this next year. And I hunt out of trees. And it's like, I get it. If I'm on a farm where there's tree stands that are set up in good spots, and especially if I'm going to be there for 6-7 days or something, and I know there's a big buck running around there, and I'm going to target him, well, I'm going to hit those tree stands where the guy has them set up, or my own stands, whatever the deal is. And I'm going to try and take him that way, low pressure, not kick him out of there or anything like that. But I'll tell you right now, if I see that buck sometime during that period pin a doe down out in some weed patch or some fence row or corner of some field or something like that, what do you usually do? You sit there and you rattle, you grunt,
trying to bring them in,
you pray, and you're like, please get up, doe, and run my direction. And what happens? 95% of the time, she goes another way. And half the time, I'd say more than that, that's the last time you see that buck. unless it's your home ground.
Fair enough.
And you hunt there every weekend all throughout the season or whatever, you might have prayer seeing him again, but if you've only got 6 days to hunt or something like that, it's very likely you don't see him again.
Very true.
So he might be 5 miles from there the next day, or a couple miles, or 2 farms over, or whatever. Or you might see him again because your neighbor shot him. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't that the truth?
My
Been
point
there before.
is, if you've got this thing in your pack, I mean, this is how they go down. Those ears fold down like this, and they fold up in a little bitty circle. You take them antlers off, that weighs 8 ounces.
You put that
down
in any
into your
pack.
like nothing. If you can get out of your tree without him seeing you, you've got a very, very legit chance of killing that deer right then and there with this. And you go to him. You don't try and go all the way in on him. You get within earshot to where you can get his attention with a grunt. And I mean, I've got video of us doing this with bucks, extensive.
Right.
When he looks up and he sees this looking at him, he pin his ears back and he'll, at the very least, try and intimidate you. And he definitely done bolt. Definitely done bolt. So anyway, I've talked and talked and talked, and you guys, you're right. I'm passionate about it.
You could keep on, man. You want to show how the product works, everything like that?
Yeah. So a lot of people ask us, well, why do you have them orange straps on there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like in Colorado during our archery season, we've got muzzleloader hunters that are out in the woods sometimes. And we want to be able to throw some orange out there to let somebody know that, hey, we're hunters. All of these orange straps on these deals can be hidden. You can run them behind the decoy like this. Mm-hmm. This is our Eastern that you bought the other day. And the orange stripes are gone. Turkeys, I don't know how that orange strap's going to affect a turkey.
It got some eyeballs now.
Yeah, they do. Now, deer, elk, and antelope, those orange straps don't mean a darn thing to them.
Right.
We've had people say, they're going to see that in booger, and I'll be like, have you ever seen a radio-collared elk or a deer? Do all the other elk or deer run from it? No. And not only that, I mean, I don't know what they see it as. So biologists say that they just see it as a different shade, that they don't actually see colors. But I can tell you this, there's no difference that I've seen when I run it or when I don't. If I'm on private land or even in a public land spot, elk hunting or something where I'm not seeing very many other people and I don't feel, like it's really necessary, I run them behind the decoy, fold them up behind the decoy like this. And the ones on the ears can be done this way, and the one across the throat can be done that way, and I just hide that orange. Let's see, they all fold up and collapse. And it is a little bit of a trick to doing it. It's just muscle memory, and we've got videos on our website. I think it's in 17 different places or something like that teaches you how to fold these things up. And once you do it, it's, you can do it blindfolded, but you just hold it up looking at you, take your other hand, put it the opposite direction, act like you're going to punch it in the face and kind of bend it in a taco like this, give it a little quarter turn, and push your finger toward its nose, and it collapses right down like that into a little
easy enough
circle. Them ears fold down like that. You got a strap that keeps it folded up, drop it into your pack till you're ready, and then unfold it and put it on your bow. We got 3 different attachment systems for attaching it to a bow, but it can be attached to a crossbow, it can be attached to a shotgun, it can be attached to my cameraman,
I like the idea of the cameraman. That's killer.
Tripods, fence posts, whatever, however you want to use it. We even had a guy came in the other day, George Wallace, I think his last name is. He's a super slammer.
Oh, wow.
He's got 3 super slams. He's got one with a bow, one with a rifle, one with a muzzle loader. Guy's done a little bit of hunting. He's working on one with a crossbow right now.
Man.
Heck of a nice guy, from different planet than I live on, but heck of a nice guy.
Right.
And he comes up and he shows me this picture of how he's stalking animals with his crossbow. He takes this thing and sticks it on his shoulder like this. And he has a crossbow like this, and he's walking right at him, and getting in range and shooting him. And he gave me pictures we'll be posting them on Instagram.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's very rare that somebody shows me some way to use this that I hadn't seen. And I was like, that's a pretty good one.
That's versatile. I mean, that shows what kind of product you got. That there's so many different ways to use it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to use it. This is a funny one. Guy from New York State. He was calling me and texting me like crazy this hunting season. I could tell this is just a guy who is fired up about this. He ended up, I think he spot and stalked a deer in the hardwoods with our whitetail. And this is early season. This is their early season. He spot and stalked a doe. And he sends me a picture, and he's just bouncing off the walls about how fun the product is and stuff. And, in New York State, there aren't a whole lot of guys that are trying to spot and stalk deer with a bow. And he was fired up, and he ordered a turkey, ordered another deer, ordered antlers for his deer and everything. So the next picture I get back, and this is in like October, so it's getting pre-rut. He sends me a picture of a whitetail buck, and he's sitting there with the turkey. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You spot and stalked one with the turkey? He said, no, I'm using the turkey in the tree. I said, what? And he was like, I'm putting it on my bow in my tree stand.
Roasting turkey?
The turkey. And now I was, at first it was like, what? You're crazy,
Right.
Well, the next time he sent me a picture, he sent me 3 different pictures of deer this year with turkeys that he killed out of his tree stand, okay? And he tells me, he said, think about it. They see turkeys in trees every day.
Fair enough.
And I said, yeah, but strutting in the middle of the day? And he was like, maybe not in the middle of the day, but they see them strutting the tree almost every morning. Almost every morning they'll see a turkey strutting in a tree. And I was like, well, that makes sense. And he says, well, yeah, it's going to really make sense the first time you do it because I am drawing and they look up right at me and go back to what they're doing. And I'm like, well, okay. I haven't tried it yet, but I mean, that's just another way that it makes sense.
I'll be trying it in the whitetail woods this year too.
Yeah. I mean, if you got a lot of turkeys around there, I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Right.
They look up there and they see that bird and they might think, well, why is he doing that in the middle of the day? But if they see him every day, maybe they're not smart enough to think that far.
The versatility of this product is endless.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. We've got a couple products coming down the line too.
Yeah,
that are we've got a 3D decoy project that we're in the middle of right now. We've got another line of decoys called wind drifter decoys. I don't know if you saw those when you were over there yesterday.
I don't think so. I was interested in the turkey.
Yeah, there were some 3-dimensional turkey decoys that we had in our booth. And they're called wind drifters, and they're wind driven. They're a real lightweight little 3D turkey decoy, and they're on a wire system that allows them to move in about a 3-foot circle. Okay, and then they also spin rotationally around that wire system. So it takes just a little tiny bit of wind, any kind of breeze, and them things look just like they are moving around scratching.
Wow.
And it's very lifelike movement. And anyway, the wind drifter turkeys are very, very popular with us, and we've got geese in that wind drifter line too, both Canadas and snow geese. Well, we're thinking of coming out with a coyote decoy.
That's not a bad
A lightweight coyote decoy in our patented wind drifter system that won't be that big, but he will be out there and he will be moving around in any kind of little wind. And it takes almost next to nothing to move that around. We're in the process of developing that. Got some other just universal archery products that are very. It makes using our decoy a whole lot easier. A couple of these products, like a little bow stand that we've got coming.
Okay.
But it's one that, regardless whether you use our decoys or not, as if you're a ground blind hunter, a spot and stalk hunter that wants to be able to set your bow down real quick and glass and then pick the thing up and be hands-free, that it'll be a really good product for any of those guys. But those are things that we have on the horizon this coming year. I don't know what else to say. I've been rambling on.
Man, I've enjoyed every bit of this.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting.
I've been on the edge of this seat.
It's exciting, and we appreciate you coming by.
No problem, man. No problem. So
completely
you
enjoyed
guys headed back today?
We're headed back today,
Headed back
hopefully,
today?
maybe tonight.
Okay.
Depends on how we can pack up and get out of here.
Part of Georgia are you in?
We're an hour east of Atlanta.
All right. Well, good
And that's
deal.
you leaving today?
Pardon? No, we'll be leaving tomorrow morning. We'll break the booth down later this afternoon. I got my boys over there. We've been busy at this show. I mean, we've been
bet.
busy. When I told them, hey, man, those guys that came by yesterday, I need to go do that podcast with them, and they all looked at me like,
Don't leave us with this.
yeah, that's exactly
At least
right.
we got something from you,
Okay,
right?
boss, I guess you're going to leave us in the rough here. So I better get back over there too. But I appreciate you guys having me. And
appreciate
listen
you,
to me
man.
ramble on. And our website is www.ultimatepredatorgear.com. And anybody that has any questions about, we got a bunch of different species. We've got tons of how-to videos on there. We've got our YouTube page has a ton of how-to videos and a bunch of customer success. Instagram and Facebook has it all over it. You know, we've literally, if you start looking through the videos on Instagram and going back,
You'll be looking for a long time.
yeah, there's hours of it. There's a lot. There's a lot of video there. And then if you ever have any questions too, our contact information is right there on the website, and you can call us up, and me and my buddy Moose will try and take care of anybody however we
Awesome.
can.
Good deal.
That work?
Good
There you
works,
have
man.
it, folks. Thanks,
All
Danny.
right, man. No, I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, man.